welcome family and friends. The first of our readings today, chosen by family, is from the Desiderata by Max Ehrmann. It was written in the 1920s. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons, their vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive. It is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy. As loving family, valued friends, to honour, cherish tips, and of the special and unique way in which we relate to this from all walks of life. It's lovely to see you here. Dale's spirit is now free to join her father and those that she's held dear who have passed before.
Dale Hansen, born on 14th of August 1952 in Madang, Papua New Guinea, at a time when the country was recovering from World War II. Growing up in Papua New Guinea with the mother Lyle, father Alroy and brother Wayne, with traditional Australian values, Dale's childhood days were spent reading, learning skills such as cooking and sewing, making crafts with local children, and often wondering what sort of creature her brother would catch and would bring home as a pet. With very limited opportunities for senior schooling in PNG, Dale attended St. Peter's Lutheran College in Indooroopilly as a boarder. This was the time when lifelong friendships were made and her eyes were open to the world. Dale worked and travelled in the years that followed school, expanding her knowledge and life experiences. In 1976, Dale met Darryl, a young photographer who, with his two brothers, had recently taken over a family photography business. 3 years after meeting, they were married, and the years that followed would be filled with love, joy, and happiness. In 1979, shortly after having her first child, Alicia, Dale was introduced to yoga. She loved everything about it, and her young family embraced the lifestyle, traditions, and the philosophy of yoga. The early 80s brought some big changes for the Jones family, when another baby girl, Yolanda, was relocating from Brisbane to Airlie Beach, where they would open the town's first photo lab. Good business for a tourist town. Dale, now choosing to go by her Satchiananda name, Akashananda, were eager to share her wealth of knowledge and make her mark on the small town. She started performing weekly yoga classes in the function room at the Coral Cities Resort, networking and inviting spiritual leaders from various backgrounds to come to town and run workshops and seminars.
St. Michael was born in 1987 and Dale's family was complete. Life was filled with happy times. Camping on deserted beaches, sailing with Sundays, and many long weekends in the resort islands. It was a storybook lifestyle. After completing her Reiki Masters, along with many other spiritual accolades, Akasha started the I Am Centre of Wellbeing in Canberra, a healing centre where people like herself give treatments such as Reiki Shiatsu to those in need. Wanting to be closer to her mother in 1995, Akasha made the difficult decision to move from Airlie Beach to the Sunshine Coast. Here she focused on teaching yoga and meditation groups. As we finished school and made our way into made our own way into the world, Akash commenced study at TAFE, completing a diploma and gaining work in the social field. Something that she'd always wanted to do. Her gentle, caring nature came from the forefront while working in the fields, and although challenging at times, she also found it very rewarding. By 2005, Zane had left the nest, and there was a new addition to the family, a beautiful little granddaughter who was spoilt with affection by her adoring nanak. Akash felt it was time to prepare for the next stage of her life and moved into Budrum Pines, a place she had everything she needed. In the years that followed, Akash continued yoga teaching, forming close friendships with many of her students. In recent years, the humanitarian in this beautiful woman came forth once again as she took a position with the Guiding Light phone service and helped people to find clarity when they could see none. Mum was a unique, beautiful and loving woman who believed that there was no obstacle that could not be overcome. Grant us the serenity to accept things we cannot change, courage to change things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. With that, I am. Thank you.
Well, I would like to share just a few memories of my darling cousin Dale when she was a little girl. Quite a few weeks ago, although very ill, Dale turned up at Heather's funeral in her wheelchair, pink feathers in her hair, especially for Heather, and a big smile. The day before Dale passed away, I visited her in hospital and gave her one of Heather's favourite books and a box of her inspirational cards. Dale clutched them to her heart and said with feeling, "Thank you, Heather." We each selected a card and laughed at how appropriate the messages were for us. We all had lots of learning to do. We had a heart-to-heart hug. Dale always insisted on heart-to-heart hugs. Sadly, that was to be our last. Dale and Heather are finally at peace, and I like to think together. And to borrow from one of my favourite poets, Nanushka, on death and dying, who knows what glorious adventures await our souls.
Well, in case I'd love to see all you guys here. Let's just go out and buy what you need. We kept the shopping mall open till way past closing time. Shopping. Thousands of dollars, and of course they never reimbursed us. Oh, those clothes in the photo, yeah. We did a bit of sailing around there with some friends, Mark and Eva over there. One day we're out. We pulled up at Whitehaven. Mark, being the excellent sailor, he knew that the depth sound was on the bottom of the keel, on the bottom of the hull. We left the cash on board and we went to the other side of the river. The tide was going out. We came back, and you wouldn't believe it, this boat was sticking up like this on its keel, no water, just sitting there, with a cash on board, meditating. She finally got off the boat and it flopped over. Because she's always been a follower of yoga. When we moved to Airlie, our daughters were called by the yoga names, Suganda and Pija. Everybody there knew them by those names. We came back, and for the sake of convenience, they were enrolled in the schools under their Elisha and Yoli. And it wasn't unusual. A couple of years later, I think Yoli was walking along with some friends who all knew her as Yoli. And someone was yelling out, Suganda, and running towards them. And their friends thought, who's this crazy person? She grabbed them, they couldn't believe what was going on. She had to explain the whole story. We had a great life together. When she fell ill, we were all devastated. She was always so fit and strong. And we never thought anything like this could happen, but it did. Yep. Kasha, may you be at peace. God bless you.